Trophied up. Yeah. Ay, do yo. Trophied up. Yeah. Ay, do yo. Trophied up. Do your dance when the G's up. G. Spaced out, got me geeked up. 10 toes on the west, can I beat us? You cannot. Shining every time they meet us. Rack 'em up, since 96. Yeah. Been number one in LA, something slight, that's the gist.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Galaxy. It's been a while, but we're back. And today I'm joined by Tab. How you doing, man?
Doing good. And I feel like the last time I was in this thing, I was in my car doing something. It was crazy, but we're back in the
That feels like a
studio.
decade ago.
Right. I think it was genuine like the last month or like 2 months ago, it feels like. But
Yeah,
we're
it
back.
might have been. I know you've been busy with your soccer, and then I've been reffing intramurals for some money on the side. So I know that's kind of gotten in the way, but we have something in store potentially for the World Cup in Talking Galaxy. It's in the works right now, but there is potential that we'll have World Cup watch-alongs. That was like 2 weeks ago. Okay, but we've been like start on when we've been consistently, going live. So it's probably been like one in the last month, but we're back now. And yeah, the live watch-along thing, it would be during the World Cup, we would highlight some of the best games, whatever games, will probably draw the most interactions from different fans, around the world. So definitely probably all the US games. But we would like to do live watch-alongs for those games. So that's something you guys would be interested in. Put it in the chat. Let us know. But Tab, who you got winning the World Cup?
Dude, that's a tough one. I think you got to say Spain. If Lamin's fit, I mean, that's just going to be crazy. His first World Cup. I saw something on Instagram saying that like the players are going to wear like a little patch if you're playing your first World Cup, kind of like how MLS teams have the debut badge or whatever. So I thought that was kind of cool, but we'll see if that ever was a thing or not. It's just some false thing I just saw while scrolling, some propaganda. So we'll see. But I think Lamin's leading Spain to their first World Cup.
I heard something. I saw a tweet. It was like, Italy in the year 2038, wearing all their World Cup debut patches for the whole entire national team. Crazy that Italy continued to not qualify. I also saw something about Iran. I believe 5 of their national team players, including a player who plays in the Premier League, is unable to go to the World Cup because the U.S. denied them passports. Which is just like, it's such a joke. It's a mockery of the World Cup. I mean, this is kind of stuff that people thought would happen in Russia, but it's happening in the US, and
Payne Sky's McDonald's Wi-Fi looks like
worst case scenario.
You're back now.
Okay.
You cut out for a second.
All right. You know what? This is how you know we're back. I actually don't know why it does that. But either way, Iran might not, play in the World Cup, but at least their squad's gonna be decimated. I have France. That's my pick. So I believe that's the right pick there. Spain, I could see winning it. It feels like there's 3 teams that could really win it in my eyes. If it wasn't one of these 3, I'd be very surprised. I think England's in there. I know everyone jokes about them being unable to win the World Cup, and I think it'd be hilarious. But, in a year where Arsenal will probably win a trophy, I think nothing's off the table at this point. I would tend to say that England and that squad are loaded, so they're definitely in that conversation. France, obviously, that attacking firepower is just unreal. And then I would also go with Spain in the mix. I think if it isn't one of those 3, I'll do something on live. I'll do something on live after.
Okay, we're clipping that.
Yeah.
You'll be buying me a Coco jersey for all the ones that.
Okay, but I would have to get a Coco jersey if one of them did win. So there has to be some risk in it for you.
Okay. I put some risky bets out there, so I think it's only fair that you put a risky one out there.
I know the West Ham.
0 for 2. It's not off the table. Not off the table yet. West Ham still has a chance. 1 win and we're above them, and who knows? Spurs got Chelsea and Everton, so
yeah, I keep telling yourself that, man. But I think West Ham are getting relegated. I think it's kind of written Tottenham are in good form under De Zerbi, but oh yeah, we're a Galaxy podcast. All right, let's get into some Galaxy news, I guess.
I guess.
Norway dark horses, maybe we'll have to see. But the Galaxy are obviously coming off of a 2-1 win against Atlanta United in Atlanta, which has not been done before by any LA Galaxy team. How many times have we played there? I feel like it's been
2
twice.
times. Yeah,
Okay,
3
yeah,
times in a row.
twice, 3 times now. It's our first win in Atlanta. Obviously, this stacks up differently versus some of the other Atlanta super teams that we face. This isn't quite the Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez, prime Atlanta years. It's kind of crazy how much Atlanta has fallen off the face of the earth. They kind of seem like a sleeping giant in MLS right now, where they have the money. I think Arthur Blank's a really good owner, but it hasn't worked out. Latte Lath, the second most expensive transfer in MLS history, just hasn't looked anywhere close to how much they paid for him. But yeah, Peck gets the brace here, but the Galaxy come from behind to win for the first time this season, I believe. Every time we've conceded the first goal, we've not ended up winning the match. And Fortune in the 69th minute opened up the scoring. Then Peck 5 minutes later responds. And then 5 minutes after Peck's goal, he responds again with a brace. What year are we in? It's a Peck brace. So I'm like taken aback. I wasn't actually able to watch this match. I watched the highlights. But I wasn't able to watch this match live, and I was refreshing the score because I was doing photography for Angel City FC. I was refreshing the score. I saw we went down, and as soon as I put in the chat, I was like, how are we losing to Atlanta? As soon as I put that, I got a notification that Peck scored. And then I was like, oh, dang, Peck actually did something. And then 5 minutes later, Peck scored again. So, lightning struck twice in the same spot. And it's pretty much the same goal. Very, very similar type goal. Marco Reus gets an assist on it. But what did you see from this match, Tab?
Yeah, I'll take your stat even further. I think this was the first time Galaxy has won a game when being behind. You can see in the first goal in 2025 as well. So 2 whole seasons, or I guess 1.5 seasons, where you get scored on first and you never win a game. So, I mean, that's just, I think, was proving your point that this is not a repeat of 2025, and this is a whole different team, a whole different kind of ideology around the team. So I'm still super excited about this team. I know some people have been calling for Greg's head, but I was on the fence, and I'm swaying more towards Van Ian now. So I've never been Van Ian officially, and here he is, and he's doing his work. That's 2 away wins on the season. First one being Austin, second one being this past weekend in Atlanta. We've got another great chance to make it 3 wins on the road versus SKC tomorrow. So we'll go into that a little bit later. But I thought in this game, the person that made the difference was Marco Reus. We've talked about him on the podcast. We've had his criticisms. I have his jersey right there in the back, and we've been up and down. We've had roller coaster rides with Marco Reus. Obviously, 2025, he was our star player, scoring the most goal contributions, but you never had that feeling that he was going to be the best player on the team. But this season, he's taken it to a whole nother level. He's been our best player by far, and he shut me up. I've had my criticisms about him at the start of the season. I think you have as well, and I think it's fair to give criticism, but it's also fair to give praise because he's been outstanding. Sets up both the goals. I don't think he's credited with the second assist, but the second assist was a Marco Reus pass into Peck, who his first shot got deflected and then came back to him. So that's why Marco Reus didn't get that assist. So big ups to Marco Reus and big ups to Peck on conceding or to scoring those 2 goals.
Yeah, I want to highlight this comment. This is probably the most important factor in the whole Marco Reus thing is his availability. Is that when he's on the field, incredible player. I mean, you could see it. Timeless Marco Reus. Father Time hasn't quite caught up to him yet because he's still, honestly, you're right. We've had our criticism of Marco Reus on this podcast. I went on here and told you that he'd be better as a super sub before, which is how, it did feel in the moment. That was, a logical take to make for not being revisionist. That was a, logical take at the time. And he comes off the bench in this match. So he could do it, whether he's starting or he comes off the bench. He changes the game either way. Now, look, the Galaxy are without Joao Klaus. And I think when he went down in that match, we were like, okay, we might not win a game until the World Cup break. It might be a really rough run in for the Galaxy to lose Joao Klaus. At that time, just felt detrimental to the whole season. It was very much doom and gloom at the time. He had his surgery. He'll be back after the World Cup break. But there was real questions about this Galaxy team that I had, as well as I hope I didn't cut out there, as well as I think a lot of fans had about Marco Reus. This guy's producing at a DP level. And that's been the thing, is that you're without Joao Klaus, so you're at 2 of 3 DPs. Who's going to step up? It's been Marco Reus. It's been Marco Reus every single time. In fact, I would go on a limb to say that if he were on a better team in MLS, he would probably be in the MVP conversation. If he were on a team that was a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, pushing for number 1, I think you would see Marco Reus mentioned in MVP conversations. But we happen to be hovering around playing right now. But yeah, he's been incredible. And yeah, he's not always going to get on the score sheet, but the way that he dominates and influences a game, it's not about the goals for him. You could tell that he much rather just see everybody eat on that team. And that's been a large part of Gabriel Peck's goal contributions this season, has come directly from Marco Reus. So yeah, performing at a DP level is honestly what's keeping the Galaxy's head above water right now in the Western Conference. So yeah, big up to Marco Reus.
And the crazy thing is, you're saying that it's not getting DP money. The MLS salaries were released today. We'll dig into a little bit later, but Marco Reus's valued, or his guaranteed compensation, is just under 1 million. I think it's around like 950K, and that's a crazy deal, because Peck's around 3 million, pretty sure. Pence is at 4 million. Rick is at 5.9, I'm pretty sure, and Marco Reus is under 1 million. So it's crazy to even think that we have a guy like Marco Reus on our team carrying us, and he's getting paid. I mean, 1 million is still a crazy amount of money. Let's not make that wrong. But like, considering other players in the league, we'll go into some other teams. We got some how do you say this? Unpraised for LAC and their money. We'll go into that a little bit later with a couple of their players that were former Gs. That'll be fun to get into. And we got our players as well. So big ups, Royce. I also want to give a shout out to Glesnes and Garces. I guess the whole back line, just in general, especially JT with the save early on for Sabaluchinite.
He had a great
back. Yeah, JT's had a great game, and I think ever since Glesnes has came back into the squad, he kind of seen this resurgence of the back line. So I think you can credit Glesnes for that, because he's a veteran guy. He's MLS best XI 2 years in a row, I'm pretty sure, and he's just been outstanding. So you got to give praise to Jakob Glesnes coming back from injury. This is his second game back from fully fit, so playing full 90. And it just shows when he first came back, originally you see players when they come back from injury, they play the second half, they play like 30 minutes. But Greg Vanney put Glesnes in the first 45, and after the game, he went and said into the press conference, we wanted Glesnes in the first 45 because he brings a competitive edge to the team. We want to get the edge early in the game, so when it comes late in the game, they can kind of coast and cruise. You don't see that with many players with Greg Vanney. You come back from injury, you get the last probably 30 minutes. We'll probably see that with Nascimento this weekend. But I think that just shows at the absolute levels that Jakob Glesnes is with this team and how important he is. So I just want to say, point that out, because we haven't had a podcast in 2 weeks, I think. So we didn't get to cover that point. So I thought that was an interesting point to see that not many people have been making. So I think Glesnes also was the captain for this game. So I think he's a big reason why we've been turning around some results in these past few games.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the back line, JT, I just want to cover for a second, but also back on the Marco Reus thing. I know I sat on this podcast as well and told you that his contract extension was a bit premature, which, given his, health track record, let's just hope that he plays a full season. I don't remember the last time Marco Royce played a full season. But even if he gets close to that and he's producing at this level, yeah, I'll shut my mouth on that contract extension because that would just seem all the worth it. And yeah, as you mentioned, his salary isn't. It's not that bad. It's not that bad for a guy of Marco Royce's caliber. Yeah, I mean, he definitely shut me up, but we'll have to see how he stays healthy throughout the season. JT, once again, we talked about the goalkeeper conversation, whether it was Novak or JT in goal, or Novak or JT, Marcinkowski in net. JT's won that number one spot. I don't think it's even close anymore. He's, I think won the hearts of fans too. The saves that he made in that Atlanta match just kept the Galaxy in the game. He was incredible. I know he was shaky. Like, if I'm being honest, I looked at the replay of the corner kick. That's probably not a foul. I think JT, embellishes that contact a lot. And I'm a goalkeeper, and I'm telling you that that's probably just not a foul. So I think that first Atlanta goal should have stood. But once again, I feel like VAR has been on our side this season. Most seasons it's not been. Most seasons I'm sitting here and tell you about how the Galaxy have been robbed. But I feel like VAR is actually it's been a bit in our favor. But also we haven't played El Trafico yet, so I'm gonna not comment on how that's gonna look for the rest
We
of
haven't had was it John Freeman as well, the guy
Yeah.
who gave the Blanca flop and then the Atuesta flop last season versus Orlando. Get to get him, and that's probably a good thing as well. So hopefully I didn't jinx us. So I'll knock on wood.
Yeah, he's gonna ref the El Trafico just for you. That wouldn't even surprise me at this point. But yeah, once again, another incredible win by the Galaxy. And yeah, I know we had some Vanny out discussions, but I think those talks, obviously our fan base is still going to stand on it. I think we could win another MLS Cup this season, and there'd still be people screaming Vanny out in the comment section. I have my opinion on him. I think, I'm still letting it play out to see how the Galaxy finish out the next few games before the international break. I think the Kansas City one's going to be a big one, honestly. It feels like every single time the Galaxy start to build forward, we start to make progress, there's just a blip result that sets us back. And it's like, where does this come from? And it was the SKC game at home, coincidentally enough, that was the blip recently. And then the Galaxy started to skid after that. This is the worst SKC team in history. Maybe one of the worst MLS teams in history. So getting swept, I don't think will look very good on Greg Vanney's track record. On paper, we should be dealing with Sporting Kansas City and probably putting up 3 or 4 on them tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, once again, the Greg Vanney talks. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit more neutral. I'm feeling a bit more neutral now, but we'll have to see how this next few games turn out for Greg Vanney and company. It's about the whole course of the season, not a few games or a good stretch of form. So I want to see, the full product of what the Galaxy look like.
Yeah, I think if we lose tomorrow, there'll be a lot more fans Greg Vanney out than there already was. I think the people that Greg Vanney's kind of been turning their heads on, their heads can be turned right back with a loss tomorrow. I think you have to get a win tomorrow. I know the last time we had a podcast, so was that 2 weeks ago, we said you need to get 6 points from these next 3 away games. So that was the Atlanta game, the game tomorrow versus SKC, and then this weekend's game versus Seattle. I think we said 4 points actually. So a draw in 1, a win in 1, and then you could take a loss probably in Seattle. I think we're on track to get 6 points and maybe even 7 points. No pun intended. But Seattle's been not looking great. They recently just tied to San Diego, and San Diego's been pretty average, and they've been missing their star players. So I think a point on the table in Seattle isn't a bad thing. So if you can get 7 points, that would be absolutely perfect. If you don't get minimum 6 points, you don't win tomorrow, I think that could be a real bad look and a big blemish on Greg Vanney's kind of end tenure so far before the World Cup. So I think you got to get 6 points minimum. I think all Galaxy fans have been thinking you need to win tomorrow. SKC, like you said, has been god awful, and I think if we have a game like last season at SKC where we concede with having 0 shots conceded on target, that should be even bigger case. But I think that's a one and done type of thing. So hopefully
Yeah.
that doesn't happen again. So I think that'll be something to keep an eye out for tomorrow and then also this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many must wins this early in the season, but I think tomorrow's as close as you get to it, for the fact that SKC are historically bad. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. I think they're rock bottom of the league. They're rock bottom in goal difference. In fact, I don't even know if they have more than one win. Yeah, their one win was against the LA Galaxy in Carson. And their goal difference is -24. Granted, they played 11 matches. Like, this is historically bad. They've conceded 32 goals, and they've gotten 2 draws in the mix. They haven't won at home. There's no reason why the Galaxy should lose that game tomorrow. But yeah, the Seattle one, every season I always just tick off as like, yeah, we're gonna lose Seattle away. It just happens. It's gonna be like a Jordan Morris. He's just gonna throw back the years and score a brace on us or some BS. And if you don't, if you only sit on 3 points out of that road trip, it's not looking great. Not to mention Houston Dynamo, which is the last team we played before the international break, just smacked LAFC 4-1 at BMO. Could have easily been more. And it was just an absolute embarrassment for LAFC, which, you love to see. Is a great hate watch. Coming off the Toluca game too. That was perfect. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Chances Greg Vanney sacked before playoffs, I would honestly go 20% at this point. I don't know if you want to adjust that percentage tab. I'd say 20. I think things would have to go very, very south for them to pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, it's hard to calculate like an actual number on that just because he kind of turned things around. I think you could have said it was probably a little higher after these maybe last few games, but we got in some results. So I think you can say maybe 20% is a fair representation. So it's hard to put a real number on it, but I'll agree with you on 20% there.
Yeah, and then when we do play LAFC, how do you think the Galaxy will do first game against them? I mean, this is another interesting conversation. We're going to be coming off of a huge World Cup break. This game could literally go any way, in my opinion. It's going to be at the Digs, and LAFC have never beaten the Galaxy at the Digs in a non-protest year. So I think that plays favorably to our role in El Tráfico. Usually the home teams win El Tráfico, if not get a draw. We've never played against Sun, so we'll have to see how the Galaxy backline stacks up against him, but he's not in great form right now. I know LAFC is having a little civil war in their fan base right now on Twitter over Heung-min Son. You got the Korean fans on one half, backing him and, treating him like he's a 12-year-old child who could do no wrong. And then you have the LAFC fans who are, I think a bit overblowing how bad he's doing, considering that he also leads MLS in assists. But it's Suns, going against Suns going to be interesting. How will we do? I don't know. It's an El Tráfico. Anything could happen. It feels like form, results, how good your team is doesn't matter, because we didn't lose to them last year when we should have. That team was historically bad last year. So I'm gonna say that the Galaxy get a win, but that's my early prediction. And then this point on LAFC is very valid as well. I think their fans are very reactionary. I don't rate Mark Dos Santos as a head coach. I was very excited when they appointed him, but I will say at the same time, you're a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. If we're looking at the West, I don't think it's that competitive in terms of I think the LAFC just ride it out. They're guaranteed a top 4 seed just from the sheer quality that they have on that team will end up prevailing. You got Sun, you got Bouanga. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, their fan base is so reactionary. And that last game was so empty. especially the 3-2-5-2 looked more like half of that. So, all good things to see if you're a Galaxy fan, especially considering we're finally in some good form. So hopefully we can keep climbing up the standings and rattling their cages there.
Yeah, I think I got a new favorite gift to drop in LAFC chats. Is that it's a son I'm crying gif. I think I put that in the Toluca full-time post on their page, and it got I think like 1.2K likes or something, which is crazy
Man,
because their post got like 10K likes or something because all the people that were hate watching. So
yeah.
I got a ton, and I dropped it in versus the Houston Dynamo as well. Now and got a couple hundred likes, and then I think I dropped in the MLS's full time where they're posting like all the full time scores for the weekend, and that one got a decent amount of likes as well. So it's good to see that and those what's it called those posts are filled with other teams also hate on LAFC. So it's good to see the MLS community come together and just hate on one team, and it's good to see it's LAFC because I think they deserve it 100%. So, and then going to back to the point on how we think we'll do versus LAFC, we'll see because who knows? Maybe Mark Dos Santos will be gone. They'll have a new head coach bump or whatever they call it. So it's hard to tell right now. Obviously, I think the transfer window opens just before. So if you were to make a signing, they probably won't be in it just because it's so early on in the window. So the squads that they have now are most likely the squads are going to be playing against each other come, was it end of July? I'm pretty sure. So it'll be a great game. They got our game. I think there's another big game going on that weekend as well. That's during the World Cup to kind of get eyes on the MLS. So a lot of eyes on that game. I'm sure the digs will be packed and bumping. But we have something else to cover right now. We got some salary to cover.
Perfect.
LA Galaxy has been ranked the fourth most expensive expenditures in the league. First, you obviously have Inter Miami, where he's carried by Messi. He's kind of
that gap's crazy though.
Yeah, I think I forget the actual number he's getting paid, but it's around 32 million, I think. But that's not even like his money. That's just money from like MLS. I think the owner is also giving him like a total of 80 million or something. It's something crazy. So that guy's earning crazy money. Obviously, got LAFC at 32.7 million. Atlanta United, we just played over the weekend at 27.9 million. And then finally, there's us at 26.4 million, and that's including Ricky Puig's 5.9 million that we're still paying him. And if you look at it, the Galaxy are paying for 4 DP slots because you have Ricky out, you have Peck, you have Paintsel, and you have João Klaus. So that kind of inflates the numbers a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I looked into it earlier today. If you take out Ricky Puig's salary, let's say since he's not playing, that puts Galaxy at the 5th and 15th place for the most expensive salaries in the league. So, I mean, I think if you're putting up results being the 15th most expensive salary budget in the league, I think that's a pretty good, you kind of fair to say. So I think that'll be interesting to see whether what the Galaxy are doing this summer transfer window. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think you can see the number go up a little bit more. So that's what I'm excited for as well.
Yeah, every year I've been a Galaxy fan, we've been up here. It's not a surprise at this point if you paid attention to these salary figures throughout the years that the Galaxy are where they are. I'm that Atlanta number sticks out more to me. The fact that they've spent $27.9 million and they're putting up, really, really bad numbers in MLS, historically bad figures. Just really, I'm sure Arthur Blank is not looking at that and probably is very happy about it. But yeah, you remove Ricky's salary and this is a mid-range guaranteed compensation. Obviously, we're not a team that spends like the Colorado Rapids. We do better than that in terms of spending. We're an LA team. We're always going to spend a lot, as is Miami, and LAFC being up here shouldn't surprise anybody as well. So, I actually think we're doing pretty good, salary compensation wise, including Ricky. He's making about $6 million, I believe. So that obviously inflates it by a long shot. Here is the guaranteed compensation for the Galaxy. You got Ricard Marte Puig at $5.8 million. Joseph Paintsaw at $4.5 million. Joao Klaus nearing $3 million. Gabriel Fortes Chavez at $2.5 million. Jakob Galesnes at 1.2. Yamane at 900K. Royce at 900K. Hack at 810. We knew that Hack was going to take a wage cut. He was offered more, but the Galaxy offered him the most that they could. Every MLS team was able to offer him that max. And then Sanabria, 742K. Yoshida at 715K. That figure is just disgusting. And another disgusting figure is Yamane at 700K as well.
I'm surprised he didn't call out Yamane's number. That being disgusting. He's getting paid more than Marco Royce. That's crazy. Logan just pointed that out as well. I honestly looked over that when I first looked at this, and I didn't even clock that, but that's actually insane. Going into the next page, we have Edwin Sierra at 662K, Garces at 518K, Julian Alde at 385K, Elijah Winder at 352K. That's crazy, coming straight from USL earning 352K. Nelson at 350K, who was our defensive MVP last year. Yeah, Marcinkowski at 300K, Mauricio Cuevas at 68K, Mikovic at 200K, Rindov 122K, Lepli 115K, who has now been loaned out to Oakland Roots. Yeah, scored a banger. If you haven't seen that, I mean, that thing's been all over Instagram. I'm pretty sure Chris and over on Buzz posted about it. And I got some good likes. You got Prente at 113K. Our RJ, our favorite over here.
The goat deserves every cent.
The USL is calling Ruben Ramos, so get ready. He's at 113K as well, and then Brady Scott's at 113. And then there's 3 others, but I didn't want to just put in 3 players. But you have Delgado, you have Esenge, and then you have Harbor Miller at 88K each as well.
Harbor Miller at 88K is just such
and
a
Ruben Ramos at 113. Funds have not been dealt out fairly, I'd say.
We're also acting like Parente and Brady Scott are. Gino Vivi's on this. When was the last time Gino? Is he loaned out again?
Yeah, he's on some Florida USL club. I forgot.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Okay. All right. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Tampa Bay. And then you got Tucker Lepli. Lepli deserved more of a chance just on that whole loan thing. I think that is absolute BS that Tucker Lepli wasn't given a fair shot in the squad this year. I think he deserves playing time, and he proved it last year. He looked good. He looked good last year. It seems like he's been growing more and more into MLS every single year. And then he was just exiled from the squad, and you're like, okay, did he spit on Greg Vanney, or is there something in the locker room that we're not aware of? Why Tucker Lepli's not getting any minutes? And you just never hear anything about it until I actually got a DM on Galaxy Buzz. I don't open that account much anymore, but I got a notification that interested me about a week and a half ago, before Lepli went over to Oakland. This guy messaged me and he was like, Lepli to Oakland Roots? And I was like, what? So I was like, what is your source? And he was like, people in Oakland are talking about it. And I'm like, there's no way people in Oakland are talking about Tucker Lepli. But regardless, he ends up going. So this source actually has more credibility than your source does over there, Tab.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Where's the Japanese number 10, Tab?
I'm telling you, we got held off on that. So we signed Tavi and we're like, oh, we're fine. So
yeah,
I've been speculating. I've been thinking about, I think the player that they're talking about was Yaya Kubo. He was on FC Cincinnati last season, and he's currently without a club. And he's a pretty versatile guy. He can play in the midfield. He can play at the 9. He can play on the 10 as well. So looks like it didn't come to fruition, but I'm pretty sure if I put all the puzzle pieces together, and he's my big brand of mine, I think it's probably Yaya Kubo.
Or maybe your source just has no actual credibility.
Maybe just steer me into the absolute abyss.
Yeah, maybe your source is just driving you crazy, Tab.
No, he told me about the Joao Klaus, and Joao Klaus happened. So my source has some credibility.
Brazilian number 10, huh? I never knew Klaus was a 10. Anyway,
He drops in. He
another
drops
figure,
in.
huh?
He drops in. He can play a 10
Yeah,
if he
okay,
wants
there
to.
you close enough. False 9, 10, same thing at this point. We're in
Exactly.
a different era of footy. Novak Mitrovic also stands out here because to me, this is just salary dump in the summer. I think they get rid of Novak Mitrovic, clear that 200K salary, and also clear the international spot. And if
Yeah.
the way that international spots are being valued right now, I think that's probably going to look about 600K ish that you're going to get for a Novak Mitrovic sale, including the international spot that you could reinvest into the squad. So that just seems like a no brainer. Rest in peace, Tucker Lepley. I think he deserved more of a shot. Other figures here. I wanted to go over Klaus. I think the Galaxy are going to have a hard time getting this guy to negotiate down to a TAM deal next year. Look at this figure and look at the TAM figure. He will have to almost take a half pay cut to come back to the LA Galaxy next season. I thought this was going to be an easy thing. I thought that when we got Joao Klaus, in fact, he wasn't supposed to be a DP with St. Louis. So I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know if they're planning to buy him down. I don't know if that's something we might consider next season. But for going purely based off of salary, with the way that Joao Klaus plays when he's healthy, yeah, I don't think you're getting that figure down much. I think he might just end up going to another team in MLS and being a DP because he looked worth it, worth a DP spot for somebody in MLS, and unless they introduce a fourth DP rule, which I don't see happening, I think this is the route that the Galaxy probably go in, is maybe letting Joao Klaus walk because of that salary. Paintsill, the DP salaries don't matter much though, unless you're like renegotiating. It doesn't really hit. Like Paintsill making 4.5 versus Peck making 2.5 has no impact on any Galaxy fan. It only has an impact on Uncle Phil's pockets there. So I'm not even really concerned about that. Galay this at 1.2 mil. About where we expected him to be. But yeah, that Yamane figure is just, I want to throw up when I see that. That's a ridiculous amount of money for, a backup right back at this point in his career.
And Cuevas is on almost 3 times less than him, which is even crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And Cuevas, quite honestly, their salary should be swapped because I think Cuevas deserves that more. But I think, that's once again, I don't know if Yamane's contract's over after this year. I'm praying it is. I know Yoshida's is, so I think you could count on that being cleared. But I think you probably also see them move on from Miki Yamane, which will, him and Yoshida will clear about $1.5 million in allocation money for the Galaxy, which is like another high-end TAM player if you're looking at it. So we're going to have money reloaded next year. It seems like things are building towards like a 27/28, push again for MLS Cup, but we'll have to see. Any other figures stand out here? I mean, the U22 ones don't really matter to me either. Nascimento making 700K. I mean, he's not close to worth that, but go for it, I guess. He's a U22 player. Once again, doesn't affect my pocket. Same with Sanabria. I don't really care. But any other figures?
Not any figures, but I want to go over kind of like some strategies that Wilkins might be thinking. So obviously in the summer, Nascimento's deal is done, so you clear up around 700K. Bob said it's U22 slots, so it's not fully affecting the cap, but you do
Like
open up a
U2K, right?
Yeah, something around that. So
It's more
obviously,
about the spot.
yeah. So Nascimento is going to be gone. You have him going, and we're going back to this side. I think you got to clear out Novak Mitrovic. His time has run out. That's another 200K knocked off the budget. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room to maybe sign some players. Obviously, we were in a cap space. That's why I had to get rid of Christian Ramirez in the offseason. So we're tight on budget. Obviously, Tucker Lepley's on loan as well, so you get a little bit of budget cut on that. Same with Gino Vivi as well. They're not fully in the cap, even though it's not a ton. You still have some wiggle room to maybe sign a player and get some moves in. Obviously, the rumor has been going around as Casemiro. But yeah, I don't think those combination of 3 players is going to get you a Casemiro in the club. So I'm really interested to see like where this Casemiro money's coming from, because I honestly can't tell where it's coming from. You have to probably get rid of Yamane maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know if you maybe. I mean, you could get rid of Yamane because you have Harbor Miller coming up, and with
Mhm.
some attacking firepower coming back off the injury list, you could probably move Harbor Miller to that backup right back slot, and he would probably do just fine. So it's really interesting to see. It's a big puzzle. Will Kuntz is probably the master of the puzzle, so I'm interested to see what he moves around this summer and who he brings in, if he brings in anyone.
Yeah, on the Harbor Miller thing, he reminds me of, in a positional sense, not to relate everything back to Liverpool, but Jeremy Frimpong in a way
What?
where, listen,
Okay, I'll hear you
he's
out.
he's playing the wing, right? He's playing the wing, and you could just tell he's pretty good when he's on the pitch, but it's not his natural position. It's not his natural position, so you're not getting the best output that you could be getting out of Harbor Miller. If you're not entirely convinced by Mauricio Cuevas, which he's been a defensive liability at times, then you at a point you have to start playing Harbor Miller in his natural position of right back. I mean, last season, Greg Vanny talked about the fact that he can't. He sees Harbor Miller as a right back primarily, not a winger. And we haven't seen it this season. Every time he's been on the pitch, it's been at the wing. It hasn't been at right back. And every time I've seen Harbor Miller at right back, he's impressed me a lot. So I think that that's a no-brainer for me. The question is going to be finding a partner for Miki Amane. I mean, maybe there's some interest back in Japan, but we'll have to see on that. It could just be a full buyout, but it depends. It depends how bad they want Casemiro. I think it would certainly have to be a shock deal. Somebody would have to be dealt that is, a very big, salary cap hitter. It would have to be somebody on this list, in my opinion. It would have to be a Maya Yoshida. It would have to be Miki Amane dipping. If not, I don't see where this money's coming from. It's like we talked about the players. It's like, oh, maybe they'll, sell Novak and they'll have enough for, Casemiro. It's like trying to, trade a 6-piece McDonald's chicken nugget for a filet mignon steak. It's just the math isn't mathing. The salary wise, it just doesn't work out like that. So I don't see where we're getting this Casemiro money from, but the fact we're interested, I think, signals the fact that one of these guys is actively being shipped out by the Galaxy, and we just don't know who right now.
That was a great analogy right there. That's like a Mark Goldbridge-esque analogy. And then fair play on the Frimpong thing. I thought you comparing Harbor Miller to Frimpong's like playing style, but you're talking more
No,
about
not playing style. No.
positioning. So yeah. So fair play. I'm sorry for letting out a little chuckle when you compared him at the initial start. So fair enough.
Everything ties back together.
Yeah. Going back to Logan's question right there, how much will Miami pay for his discovery rates? There's a little birdie that has been talking in some group chats that I've been in, saying that Miami's going to be playing for Casemiro's discovery rights. We'll see whether that comes to fruition, but if they really want him, they can probably get him. I remember when we were getting Marco Royce, we had to bet his discovery rights off of Charlotte, and I think that was around a 300K fee for Marco Royce discovery rights. So I bet you can probably get a fee around the same amount, maybe 250, 200. I mean,
I think
Casemiro's coming.
more.
I think it'd be more than Marco Royce. It definitely is
I
around the
think
numbers.
Royce
So
was more than 250.
I thought it was like 350 or something like
I
that.
thought
So
Royce was like 600K.
am I
I
tripping?
believe it
Oh,
was one of the most expensive discovery rights. Let me get a fact check on this, but I was thinking more in that range.
I thought it was
Um,
like 350. So I mean, whatever the amount is that we pay for Royce, I think that's kind of the amount, and that's like the benchmark because I think he was the most expensive discovery right player that or I think in the whole league history. So that, I think that's the benchmark for all discovery right kind of purchases in this modern history. So we'll see
it was
what
400K.
Orange can. So it's probably around that. I'd say
Yeah.
if you can get 300, that's fine. I'll take that. Casemiro's 34 years old. Marco Royce is around the same age, and it's Inter Miami. They got all the money they want, so if they can pull some economic leverage like Barca does, and they'll get some GAM from Don Garber. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you can kind of pinch them for some pennies, some extra money. So we'll see what we can get out from Inter Miami for Casemiro, because it's looking like when you look at these numbers for the Galaxy, I just don't know where you're getting the Casemiro budget for. So I just don't see it happening personally.
Yeah, like we talk about, Yamane or Yoshida leaving. I just don't see that happening in the summer. That feels like an off-season thing to me. Um, I always thought that it would be probably Cerrillo that gets traded if Casemiro came in, because positionally it wouldn't make sense to have three number sixes on your roster. It doesn't, especially when Casemiro is going to be probably the highest amount of TAM that you could be paid without being a DP, at least this first year. So that just doesn't make sense. Those figures don't align to me. And then another thing, I just we'll have to see discovery rights wise, but I think if you could get 300K for a player that's not even playing for our team and never will play for our team, and I don't think should play for our team, I think you take that easily. If you're the Galaxy, you get 300K in the bank. You maybe get 400K for an international spot for Novak, and then clear out his 200K salary, and then yeah, I don't know why we're flexing the ECL
I
bottom league
saw
every year.
Eli in the chats. He's calling Barca to show him up. Back-to-back league titles on Madrid's head. Mbappe who, dictator who. Lamine Yamal is gonna absolutely cook him for the next 5 years. It's over for Madrid. You got dictator Mbappe and it's like what comparison I just thought of. In Madrid, you got like Star Wars. You got Darth Sidious as Florentino Perez, and you got Darth Vader as Mbappe. I don't know if
I hate
anyone is
Florentino Perez.
yeah. I don't know if anyone's a Star Wars fan, but I feel like that's a pretty fair analogy for those two. Absolutely destroying the club over there. But I don't mind it personally.
Yeah, the fight, the Tchouaméni and Valverde
That's
fight, that
crazy.
was such a crazy saga. He cracked his head open on the fight. He had like memory loss. Like, what is going on at Madrid? That's another thing. We talk about teams that overreact when things aren't going exactly right. I mean, Madrid are still second place in La Liga. It's not like they're out of a UCL spot next season. Like the sky is falling. Like they weren't in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Like they didn't beat Manchester City this season. Like it's not all doom and gloom. I wouldn't be surprised if they win La Liga next year, because it's Madrid at the end of the day. I do think that they have clearly a lot of problems in the locker room. I think that can't be understated enough. But teams absolutely just lose it. It seems like, well, Madrid specifically lose it if they're not winning everything every single season. And I guess there's a point to be had that makes them as good as they've been in the last decade-ish. But it also just gives off like, spoiled child energy, where it's like, okay, like you can't get everything you want, like, and you can't just throw a fit. You can't throw a fit and blow up the whole club when you don't win every single year. But yeah, we'll see. I rather win one UCL than 5 league titles. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think I'd if it's back to back to back to back, I go 5
Yeah,
domestic titles. But I
yeah.
think if like you're doing like 5 and like it depends on the time period. But if it's back to back,
It
back to
depends what
back to
league.
back, yeah. I mean, if we're talking, I think we're talking La Liga just because it's Madrid and Barca.
Yeah.
So if you have domestic dominance over your rival and they won one UCL, I think you kind of have the edge over them. But it's tough to say. Obviously, I think Prem's a different story. If you win 5 Prem titles back to back, it's just I don't think any team's probably done that in Prem history. So that's
No,
kind of crazy.
no,
So I feel
no.
like that
City were the
would,
closest.
yeah. But anyways, we got LA Galaxy to talk about, but we're not going to
Yeah.
talk about LA Galaxy for a little bit. We're going to be talking about our noisy neighbors.
Oh,
But some former G's on this list. Um, our beloved Tyler Boyd is making 1.4 million, is the 4th most expensive player on LAFC's salary budget. He's sitting on the bench playing maybe 20 minutes off the bench at the max. And I thought that was an absolutely crazy number when I was looking through the guarantee compensation chart today. And then you also have Mark Delgado there at 1 million. And I think we got rid of him at the perfect time. His value is high. And if you're paying 1 million for a 32-year-old Mark Delgado, I don't know what you're gonna get. And you kind of seen a dip in form if you've been hate watching LAFC like I have. he's just not the same Mark Delgado as he was in 2024. So I think he disposed of the asset at the perfect time with Mark Delgado. You could say the same thing for Tyler Boyd. At Nashville, I'm pretty sure he earned around 1.2 million, and now he's earning 1.4 at LAFC. So he got a pay increase to pay at a similar level club and play less minutes. So I thought that was actually crazy. Shout out our secret agents, Tyler Boyd and Mark Delgado, for taking some money off LAFC's books.
There is a stipulation now that now that we're all excited and we're like, wow, they overpaid for Tyler Boyd, let's all laugh at them. Most of this money is being paid by Nashville. I saw it on Twitter, is that he's actually hitting basically he's hitting like Harbor Miller does to the LA Galaxy. He's hitting a reserve spot because Nashville's absorbing almost all of the compensation. I think most of the value is in the trade. So this
that's on me. That's forget what I said. Let me rephrase that. Mark Delgado, he's a secret agent. I mean, he's getting paid 1 million. Yeah, that's on me. I thought that number is crazy, and I just didn't even look at. I know I'm not on LAC Twitter, so I didn't really see that comment on that.
Yeah, no, I get everything on Twitter, so I saw that and I was like, wow, okay. And then Mark Delgado there. I will say that they're very ungrateful for Mark Delgado because I still think he's class in the midfield, and I would personally send Lucas Sanabria to Uzbekistan if it meant that we could have Mark Delgado back, if I'm being completely honest. But I'll stop talking on that. I think you're right. When we did sell him, if there was a time, I think his value is starting to decrease a little bit right now. And he did have a major giveaway, I think, in the Toluca second leg that led to a goal. So that was a little satisfying, inside.
And he had an inside agent moment in playoffs last year, skying that penalty kick. So he's been doing great over there. Shout out Delgado.
Yeah, shout out Mark Delgado. You're welcome back anytime. Once a G, always a G. Anyway, we're going to flip the page here from LAFC. Back to the Galaxy. Injury report for tomorrow is looking pretty slim. You got Nascimento off of the injury report, fully returning back to play. You got Julian Ade out with an ankle injury, and then Joao Klaus obviously out with the foot. Ade might be back before the break, at least in some capacity, maybe off the bench, but Klaus won't be. And at this point, if they're still out, just let him be. Nascimento coming back doesn't really mean much to this team, if I'm being honest.
It means something to our bet, though. It means something to our bet. I will say that. He'll be getting the minutes over RRJ, and RRJ will not be getting any more minutes before the World Cup break.
Chat, do you guys seriously think that Ruben Ramos Jr. will not get 20 more minutes before the end of this season? Do we seriously believe that? I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it panning out that way, man. Do I think they'll play Nasty Nas? Maybe not even, depending on how this game goes. The Galaxy are up like 3-1 in this match, like we should be, if we're being quite honest. Yeah, throw Ruben Ramos Jr. in there for like 20 minutes. Let him have a jog about.
Oh no, that should not happen. No.
No, it should. If we're winning, it's just like, yeah, let the kid play. But let's see. He's not benched forever. He literally started the Columbus match. So
I think that was because we were in an injury crisis there. You had, I think, Payne still stopped for that game. Or I forget what happened, but we had a ton of players out, and I think that kind of played a part. And I think when he did play, he showed that I don't think he's starting caliber material, and that's come from an unbiased man, not from the bet or anything. I just don't think he's at that level yet to be starting for the LA Galaxy. I think Harbor Miller's almost on the same page, but he's holding up more of his own than Ruben Ramos. So when you have limited options, I think he kind of have to just play the kids. And unfortunately for the bet, I bet against Ruben Ramos getting the minutes, and it's looking likely that he may hit, but we'll never see. Looking on the optimistic side for my bet on the Ruben Ramos Jr. minutes, when Nascimento's gone this summer, maybe we bring in another attacking piece, and that kind of equals out the Nascimento leaving, and we bring in another attacking piece. So we'll see what happens. we're getting some attacking players back. Obviously, you didn't see Eric Tommy on the list anymore. He played in the game over the weekend versus Atlanta, and he played pretty good. He had a decent contribution towards the second goal, where he won the ball back and played it to Marco Reus, I'm pretty sure. So he's been doing good. He's been getting minutes. Obviously, you talking about Nascimento coming back. I think he'll probably get maybe the last 20 or 10, 20 minutes, maybe. Because we've been locking at the nine position. We've been playing Joseph Pansel there for the past few games, and while he's doing good and he's getting goal contributions, you want an actual nine there, and you can move him out wide, and then that just I think then you having players playing their actual positions, and again you getting the best out of them. So it's good to see some players come back from injury. Obviously, Glesnes been back for a couple games, so we're getting players back slowly but surely. We're almost fully fit, minus João Klaus and Julian Alves. So I think we'll be looking good coming into the World Cup break.
If this happens, there's a better chance that Tab gets struck by lightning by the end of this podcast, if I'm being completely honest. There's no way that coming back from injury after being out for almost a month, that Greg Vanney throws Nascimento back into the starting lineup. I don't think, even if he does play, I don't think it'll be for more than 20 minutes. There's no way. You don't rush a guy like this back from injury. And it looks like he has 3 games left on his maybe 4 games left on his loan.
He's worth $7 million or dollars, which just isn't happening.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna trigger the buy option for Nascimento. That's gonna be a real thinker for Will Kuntz. Yeah, no, there's a negative chance that he's coming back. But did Galesnes not start in his first game back?
I think that was kind of the anomaly I was talking about earlier. Galesnes started, but that was just because he brings so much to the team, and he was worth playing the first 45 to get ahead in the game, and then you can come off, and then you have the momentum going to the second half. But usually the kind of protocol that the Galaxy and the Greg Vanney follow is, if you're coming back from a major injury like Nascimento, we're out for maybe a month or 2 months. Usually in your first game back, you usually get maybe the last 30 minutes, but I think maybe 20 minutes is more realistic just because of how the offense has been performing. You have Eric Tommy coming back. Marco Reus has been playing out of his mind. You got Peck and Paintsel getting goal contributions. So I think maybe 20 minutes is a fair assessment. 30 is probably the max you probably get. That's usually the maximum that players play, usually around the 60th minute they come in. So I think he'll get minutes. I just don't think he'll be starting just because he doesn't have that impact like Jakob Glesnes. I think that's probably the one-off anomaly in that circumstance.
Yeah, let's be very clear here. That's Jakob Glesnes. We're talking about Nascimento here. There's no way that Greg Vanney thinks he's that important to where he has to start to change the tempo. There's no way, man. I think there's a better chance I start up top for the Galaxy tomorrow. I just don't see it happening. U22 players that we should use the spot on. Let's see.
Oh, I put up an even better comment.
Yeah, true. That's technically true, guys. U22, what position? I mean, I don't know U22 players, but positionally, I think you got to probably go with the backup 9 again. I think you can't be entirely convinced by João Klaus's injury track record that he's going to come back from injury and stay on the field for the rest of the season. So I'd bring in a backup U22 number 9, and especially if you look at that Klaus contract and you're like, yeah, he's probably not coming back next season. We can't afford him as a DP. Then that's even more reason for you to go out and get a backup number 9 that you could develop. So I would go with the number 9 there. I don't think we need another midfielder. There's no way we use 2 U22 spots on the back line. Maybe a backup winger, but I think a number 9 is where they go again with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a versatile attacking piece. I think someone that is probably more versatile than Nascimento, where you only saw Nascimento at the 9, you probably can't play a winger slot. So maybe a player that can play at the 9 and also on the wing, because sometimes you need to give Peck and Paintsel a little bit of a rest because they can't be playing full 90s every single week. And, Painsel's had his injury concerns. So I think if you have a U22 player that can play on the wing, but also can play at the 9, I think that'll be probably the best case scenario. But who knows what the market's going to be like in the summer. Obviously, you have the World Cup coming up, and maybe a player bursts onto the scene and the Galaxy take a chance on them. But it'll be tough to see what Will Kuntz will do. But it's exciting because the World Cup, there's a whole lot of players going to be on display. From it's a much bigger World Cup this year than previous years, so maybe there's some players that come in from these unknown, not unknown countries, but not as well known countries from unknown leagues. They can probably take a swing on. So we'll see what Wilkins does. Going to Eli's comment here, any Barca youngsters. Hector Fort, probably not. He's been playing good for the team he was at before he got injured. And Mark Bernal has been getting minutes at Barca's first team, so I doubt he's going. You have Mark Casado, who is actually linked to West Ham, funny enough, before we were deeply in the mud. So I doubt he's going to West Ham anymore. But there's not really any other ones. Obviously, Dro's gone to PSG. I'm not really into with Barca B, so I don't know if there's any youngsters coming out of there that may make a move to MLS. So.
Fake fan. You don't even know the Barca B depth.
Can you name one player on Liverpool's B team?
No, heck no. Of course not. I'm trolling, but let's see. This would be a funny comment if Galaxy fans didn't genuinely think this way, at least some of them. I think there's some Galaxy fans out there that genuinely wonder at night why we don't just do this. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that one. I don't think out of that list, could you see any of them coming to MLS when they're like 35, 36? Make a pick 15 years out for now.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see one of the players. Obviously, I think MLS in 15 years is probably going to be at the level of maybe some top European leagues, maybe not top 5. Actually, I'd say in 15 years, I think MLS is probably will be on par with some top leagues in Europe. So, who knows? Maybe we'll have Pedro as a debt piece when he's 35 years old, still absolutely playing off people off the park. So we'll see what happens in 15 years' time. But I can tell you in 15 years' time, we will still be here and we'll still be giving you Talking Galaxy content weekly.
Yeah, I don't know on my part. I don't know on my part if I can promise that. We might be talking universe by that point if we expand beyond the Galaxy regime. You're gonna be like what, 36 years old by that time.
Yeah,
37.
yeah.
All right, wow. You have your future planned out. You're gonna be a full-time Talking Galaxy podcaster. I'm with that actually. Anyway, so the match tomorrow against Kansas City. Oh yeah, back to Galaxy, I guess. It's one we should win. It's one we should win. I think, we talked about it. Historically bad Sporting Kansas City team. They beat us at home. There is no way that they beat us. There's no way that Sporting Kansas City team beats us twice in a single season. They would have 2 wins and both of them would be against the Galaxy. I think I might do my head in. I don't know what to say at that point. So we'll have to see. I'm in denial that there's a chance that we lose this match because of how just devastating that would be to this whole season thus far. The fact that, you lose against this, or maybe has an argument to be had that they're the worst MLS team of all time. We'll have to see how that season plays out. But they're certainly looking awful. So I'm going to go lineup prediction here. I think JT obviously gets the start in net. John Nelson at left back, also no brainer. Jakub Kolesnes at center back. Amiro Garces paired with him. And then you're going to have Mauricio Cuevas at right back. You're going to have a midfield of, I think Marco Reus gets the start in this game. If you didn't start him in Atlanta, I think you do start him in this match. So I think you get a midfield of Marco Reus, Lucas Sanabria, and Edwin Cerrillo. I don't think I'm missing anyone there. And then I think you get a front 3 of Harbor Miller, Joseph Paintsil, and Gabriel Peck. So any changes on that? Any rotation midweek?
I got two differences in your starting up to mine. I think you got Mickey Amane for Cuevas just because Cuevas has, I think, played almost full 90s in the past two games, and you play in a midweek game. So I think you can give Mickey Amane this game, and then Cuevas can hop in for the Seattle game on the weekend. So Mickey Amane in there. I agree with everyone else in the back line. I agree with you in the midfield as well. And then I think Tommy probably gets to start versus SKC. Obviously, he came in, played his 30 minutes, his LA Galaxy return to play protocol. And then usually after that, they play the full 90 in the next game. So I think you see that. You see Tommy, Pencil, and then Peck up top.
Yeah, I could also see Tommy. I mean, players always have an edge when they go against their former team. They want to get that goal. And okay, yeah, just like Tab over here. You have a lot. Those messages are
Do not compare me to him.
those messages are crazy if you saw them. Like, this guy is just on a different level. Tommy scores. That's an interesting prediction for this match. I could potentially see that. I would see it off the bench though. Yeah, gotta be Ramos starting.
Don't even joke about that. Don't even joke.
Gotta be Ramos starting on the wing. It has to be.
Okay. You know what I think is gonna happen? I think so. You have the Tommy, you have Pencil, you have Peck. I think they'll probably play, and then come the 65th minute, you're gonna see Nascimento come in for Tommy. Nascimento moves inside, and then Pencil moves out to the wing. That's gonna be the attacking rotation for this game.
Yeah,
and you can come back to what is this, the 1 hour and 6 minute mark on this podcast. You'd be like, wow, Tab is so handsome and so smart and so cool.
Not the first one, but maybe the other ones. I think that Paintsel probably stubs his toe in this match, around this 70th minute mark, and then
Albert Miller comes in.
Yeah, they call the man Ruben Ramos Jr. off of the bench, and he's ready to go. And he gets some minutes in there, so I'm gonna go with that. That would be hilarious. I just hope that whenever Ramos gets his minutes, that we're doing a live watch along of it, so I could feel your agony live. I think would be even better. So I'm hoping for that. I think we got another watch along before the World Cup break, so just let it be that game.
I think Prod is with me on that. Please, God, no. I'm with you. Keep RRJ's butt on the bench for the rest of the season. I was joking about it originally, maybe a loan to USL, but the loan for Tucker Lepley to USL has got me thinking it's not off the table. I can't say that. Can you see a world where Ruben Ramos gets a loan to USL? Like, not even like put the bet aside.
I could see a world. I could see a world. I just think the chance is like very low. I think if anything, he'll probably just be on the bench for the rest of the season. He'll probably just be chilling on the bench, maybe getting an occasional 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how a match goes. I do think, like, I'm 98% sure that he will get his minutes. Not even being biased, but him being loaned, there is a world where that happens, just because it's like, well, he could be getting some minutes over in the USL. He could be developing more. He's better than MLS Next Pro, but maybe he's not good enough for MLS yet. So we're going to ship him off to the USL and let him develop, which honestly, I wish we utilized the loan thing more than we do. You have Tucker Lepley out on loan. You have Gino Vivi out on loan. I think it would be a crazy world if the Galaxy loaned 3 players out on loan. We'd have to check when the last time that happened was, because it feels like we never utilized that enough. So I don't see it happening. But Dylan Vanny is next up. I wouldn't even mind if Ruben Ramos Jr. gets his 20 minutes and then he gets loaned out and Dylan Vanny gets called up. I'd be okay with
those
that.
20 minutes.
Yeah, anything to get those 20.
Yeah, we got the 3 players on loan to USL, which is
4.
You got Senge. You've seen this happen multiple times. So obviously, you have the 3 players out on loan right now, where they're kind of in that middle ground, that awkward phase where they're just not quite good enough to break into the first team, but they're just miles ahead of the competition in Next Pro. And they're usually Senge is what I think around 20, 21, 22 or something like that. He's like 25, I'm pretty sure. So he's getting into his prime years of playing, and you don't want to be spending your time sitting on the bench for an MLS club or playing MLS Next Pro. Obviously USL Championship is not the highest level, but it's still a decent level where you can still develop. So I think you probably see players like that get more loans, and I think you've seen 3 players do it this year. So I don't think it's off the table.
I do
Yeah.
agree with this as well.
And then you have players like Furkranis, who obviously couldn't get into the first team, and he was playing with the second team at Ventura County, and he made a move to Australians first division. I don't think he ever played for Brisbane Roar. I don't know if he ever played for Brisbane Roar, but I think just having that pathway for players to break through your academy. This guy was in the academy for pretty much his whole youth career, and then he makes a move to Europe. So um, I think having that kind of pipeline where you have players come through the academy, and then they can, if they don't make the move into the first team, they still have chances to go other ways and play at a high level, whether it be at the USL Championship level or overseas somewhere else. So we'll see what happens with Ruben Ramos, but I just don't think that he's going to get a whole lot more minutes this year. And this is where players develop. You see, a lot of young players have been getting a ton of minutes across MLS. I've seen the rise of Julian Hall over in New York Red Bull. They got Matty Dos Santos at left back. Michael Bradley's kind of reinvigorating and kind of been the head of this role of playing these youngsters. With Kickbase this year, I've been kind of been keeping an eye for these young players who've been getting minutes. There's a FC Cincinnati center back has been getting a ton of minutes. San Diego's keeper is like 18 years old, getting a ton of minutes. So, this year Kickbase has kind of been helping me out with these young players and kind of identifying players I've been playing. So, and there's been a handful that I've been playing well, getting good points and getting good minutes. So I just don't know if the Galaxy are in that position to give these players, these young players minutes just because of how deep this roster is. And unfortunately, Ruben Ramos Jr. is just a factor that has to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I do think there's other people in the squad that fall within that range, but at a point you do need depth, unless you're planning on calling a guy like Dylan Vanny up. But I think Dylan Vanny probably does deserve a shot in the first team, definitely. Maybe the Galaxy don't feel like he's reached his full strength to be up to MLS play. Maybe he's not physically where they would like him to be to call him up. I mean, the fact that shout out Troy Elgersma, I think it is Elgersma, something like that.
Yeah, I think you got it.
He got called up before Dylan Vanny. He's a big dude. I think he's like 22 years old. And he looks like he's at least 6'2", if I had to guess. And we'll have to see how that plays out with him. But he signed a first team deal. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But I think the Galaxy do value some depth in those players as well. You're gonna need depth pieces, and if you think that a guy like Ruben Ramos Jr. is a favorable alternative, then go for it. But yeah, the American Pogba, sure, you got it. Redlands native, by the way. Shout out Troy.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly,
he played. I forget what college he played at, but he was actually undrafted coming into the Galaxy. No teams drafted him in the MLS Super Draft, and the Galaxy took a chance on him. They signed him to a contract with BCFC. He played. I think he's played like 5 games with BCFC. He's played every game with them, and then he gets signed to the first team. So, players are coming out of college. They have potential. You see in San Jose do a pretty good job with that. They've got a handful of college guys that have been balling out for them. So don't sleep on the super draft. Don't sleep on these college players because, they can play a role as well. It's not just the academy guys coming up through the academy. Players like Elgersma maybe gain chances. Obviously, he got his first few minutes in the Vancouver game, which was kind of crazy coming in versus, a top team in the West. So get on him. We always like a comeback story coming from not getting drafted to getting a first team contract. So good, kudos to him.
Yeah. Thoughts on Danny Rojas going to El Paso? I mean, I would be lying to you if I told you that I knew if he's a good soccer player or not. I don't research Danny Rojas highlights like that, but at a minimum, it's going to sell jerseys. It's a good PR move for the club. If he doesn't even play, it's still a good move for them because he's gonna, like I said, he's gonna sell a lot of jerseys. He's gonna bring a lot of eyes that otherwise wouldn't even know what an El Paso locomotive is. So
Galuda played there. I know that.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. So, we'll have to see. Do you watch Danny Rojas highlights in your free time? It seems like something that you
Wasn't
would.
there an April for no, that's JP. But I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
didn't an MLS team do like a April Fool's joke assigning Rojas? I think it's Chicago Fire. Maybe someone can help me out with that in the chat. But I swear there's an MLS team that did like a April Fool's joke or something. So I guess he's playing in USL Championship. I have no clue what his level is like. He's been a Ted Lasso though, so maybe he'll translate over to USL Championship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to see. But it's the content's going to be good either way. So shout out Danny Rojas. Why haven't they tried out Dylan Vanny? Probably the size. They probably just don't think that at an MLS level he's physical enough. It's a very physical league. And he's a bit undersized. No, actually, that might not be true. I might be true. I might be thinking the other Vanny. One of the Vannys is a tiny
Mason,
bit
Mason
undersized.
got his first goal this weekend.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, I think you're talking about Mason. Dylan's a little bit bigger. I'd say he's probably your size, like fairly
Oh,
same build,
wow.
maybe
Okay. Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit
Okay.
like not like fat, but he's a little bit more bulky than you. He's got a little bit more
Well, yeah.
muscle.
What are you trying to say about me, Tab?
No, I was trying to say in a fair way to Dylan Vanny. I don't want to make him seem like he's a fatso, but I think he's your height, maybe a little bit more muscular though.
Yeah.
That's just
I-
saw in video. I've never seen him in person.
Also, there is a thing with Dylan Vanny where it's like, if Greg Vanny debuts Dylan Vanny, I think there's going to be a lot of unhappy Galaxy fans who do not understand that this kid's actually good. Which sucks for Greg Vanny, but I think he knows that too. Is that if Dylan Vanny debuts, it's probably going to have to be under another manager, unless he just does so incredibly well that they just have to play him. But right now, we're not in a position where we have to play Dylan Vanny. But if he does make a debut, I think Greg Vanny will be given a lot of flack. People will be like, "Oh, it's another Zavaleta," type of thing. And I think even Zavaleta, that whole situation got overblown. But fan bases do it. Our fan base is no different. They see Vanny in the last name, they're just going to flip out without understanding the context that he's actually a good prospect. So I think Greg Vanny understands that as well. Yeah, we already have a lot of angry fans. Yeah, definitely on that one. Predictions for the Kansas City match. I think I said 3-1, so I'm going to stick with it. I think the Galaxy will beat Sporting Kansas City 3-1 in Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park. I believe it's still called that. And
Sporting Park now, I think. I was just looking at that when it's making my graphic for the game tomorrow.
I wonder who's going to be the next sponsor of the Galaxy Stadium after Dignity Health dips from that. We'll have to see. But goal scorer wise, I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Peck. I think he's going to continue a solid run of form, string it together again. So I'm going to go Peck, and then I will say. Do I say Paintsville gets on the score sheet here? Do I say both DPs do? No, I'm going to say Marco Royce gets a brace. So it's going to be a 3-1 win for the Galaxy. Royce brace and Peck goal. I think Paintsville will have an assist in there.
Yeah, I think we got to win this game. First off, I'm just looking at their stats right now. In the past 8 games, we played them in their 9th game. After the win versus us, they have gained 1 point. They played Seattle 2 weekends ago and got a draw. But other than that, every other game since our win, they've conceded 3 goals or more. They lost 4-1. So after their win versus us, they went on to concede 4 versus Colorado, 3 versus Real Salt Lake, 3 versus San Jose, 3 versus USL side Colorado Switchbacks, 3 versus Vancouver, 5 versus Chicago, 1 versus Seattle, and then 6 versus Portland this past weekend. So, you're playing on a good time. They've conceded a ton of goals in the past 3 games. They've conceded 12 goals over the. That's just crazy. People are complaining about Galaxy defense. Imagine being an SKC fan. So, um, if you lose this game or get a draw, I think you'll be mad as a Galaxy fan. So, I think you got to get a win, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 3-1 win for the Galaxy. Wait, you said that. I can't say that. I'll go 2-0 Galaxy.
All right. You mentioned a lot of goals coming, which probably means that now we're going to get shut out in a 1-0 scrappy loss. Oh, God, I hope not. 4-1, yeah, Peck, Royce, maybe Miller. I could see that. Tommy revenge game, would love to see it as well.
Right.
Yeah, Galaxy, I don't think we'll have a live watch along, but I think the next road game we should be able to maybe.
Is it Saturday versus Seattle? Is that when the game is?
Okay, so
Yeah, Saturday at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I'll have to see on that one. But I don't think we'll be doing one tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't be able to.
Wise. So that means that it'll either be Saturday or Tuesday on the next podcast. But we'll have to see how it all unfolds. Oh, the Seattle game we should also preview then. Okay. No, that's all right. Yeah. All right. No, there's another match. Seattle, I'm going to quickly run through this. I think starting lineup wise, I don't think I'm going to repeat the same one. I don't think there's any way that they just milk out the same lineup all 3 games. I think you see Hack. I think you see Hack start at center back with Jakub Galesnes, and then I think you see Yamane at right back. Midfield, probably Royce, Sanabria, and Cerrillo again, and then a front 3. I think you will see Tommy, Paintsville, and Peck.
Let's see. I think you probably got a similar. I got similar. So I'm gonna keep the same back line. I'm gonna go Nelson. Then we're gonna go Glesnes and Garces. I think you gotta keep those 2 on lock. You can't really change the center backs and after maybe a midweek game. So I think you keep the partnership there, but I do think you see a swap with Cuevas. So I have Imane starting tomorrow's game, and then I have Cuevas starting the next game. But if it's reverse, I think one will play one game, one will play the other game. So that'll probably be the case for the right back position. Midfield, I agree with you. I think Hack will probably get it, Hack will get in there, and I think you see Sanabria drop to the bench for that game. And you got Marco Royce in the midfield. You got Tommy, Paintsville, and Peck. But maybe there's a world where Nascimento starts in the 9 in that game. So we'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely more realistic than tomorrow.
Yeah.
So prediction wise, I'm going to go with a 2-0 loss 2-1. I think there's a stat that the Galaxy have scored in like 8 games in a row.
It's like 21 games or something crazy.
21,
like
yeah, 21. Even more incredible. 21 games in a row we've scored a goal, which I believe is that a club record.
I'm not sure on club record, but right now it's the MLS current record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably not club record. We've had some really good Galaxy teams, but it's an MLS record right now. Will it end Saturday at Seattle? Maybe, but I'm gonna go with the 2-1 loss there. I think our lone goal once again will be Marco Royce. He's different. He's different this season, so I'll go with him.
I'm gonna go a 1-1 draw. Obviously, last season we got spanked by them, I think like 3 times, but then we somehow drew at their place in MLS play. So I think we'll repeat it. I think we'll get another point on the road, and that'll be a good point. Seattle's a tough place to play. Obviously, right now Lumen Field's got grass for the World Cup because I'm pretty sure Lumen Field's getting used for the World Cup. So they got the grass down. Galaxy played, what's called Mercedes-Benz is also turf, but they lay down grass for the World Cup as well. So Galaxy are playing again on 2 turf fields that have been transformed into grass. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully no injuries. So that'll be nice. If we did get an injury, it's not the end of the world because World Cup breaks coming up. Obviously, if we were to get an injury, hope it isn't Paintsville because he's on the fringes on the Ghana World Cup. uh, national team squad, and that'll probably get announced pretty soon as well. So hopefully, we'll see Paintsville getting on the Ghana national team squad. Some teams have been making their official call ups for the World Cup. I think there's been Sweden and then Bosnia and Herzegovina, however you say their name. I think those are two nations that have released their squads. So keeping out for Ghana's national team. I'll be following their Instagram to see if anything happens. Praying for Paintsville to get on that squad because he's been playing pretty good right now. Obviously, he had that miss in Atlanta, but overall, he's been playing pretty good since he came back from injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he makes the Ghana squad. Maybe a goal in that Seattle match would help his case a little bit if the rosters haven't been released. I'm sure he's more motivated now than ever to get on the scoring sheet, to prove a point. I think Brazil might have released theirs too. Actually, I don't know because I feel like I'd have seen something about Neymar being on or off the roster.
It's like the preliminary or something.
Oh, okay. I saw Igor Thiago is on it, and there's like a joke on football Twitter I was looking at is like Igor Thiago realizing that all the games are going to be like televised because he does
No one's
not
ever seen score a goal.
yeah, he does not show up in the big matches whenever they have like a Prem game. It's like Brentford, and it's being.
I think he scored against us. I remember him scoring against us. So maybe that's maybe all 20 goals against us. That's why our goal differential is so bad.
Yeah. So that it should be interesting. We'll have news on if Paintsville makes the Ghana squad or not. Could come by next podcast. If not, probably in the next one. Let's see. Okay. Neymar was on it, but Estevao didn't make it.
He's injured right now, right?
He's injured. Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. I was going to be like, well, there's no way Neymar makes it over Estevao right now. Yeah, if there was no injury. There's no injury, but yeah, I think that's all. We're gonna have to see next podcast on how the Galaxy finish out this week, their road stint, and then they're gonna come home to the Houston Dynamo. So, Tab,
you can find me at Galaxy LA over on Instagram, X, and TikTok.
As for myself, you could find us Talking Galaxy on TikTok. I need to post clips on there more. I keep forgetting. And then you could find my personal photography account. I was on the field at an LA Galaxy game. I can't believe it. I actually got a press credential. So shout out the FO. Never said a bad word about anyone in the FO. So, shout out front office. Peyton _shot_it on Instagram. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you're watching. Turn on bell notifications if you haven't, so you don't miss another podcast. And yeah, peace out, everyone.